Day number 4 of hiking the Appalachian Trail in 100 days, and a bit of a rough start to this day. First hour or so, it wasn't really raining, but it's been raining the past 3 hours. Um, so I've been hiking about 4 miles, or 4 hours, and just over 8 miles. So far, nothing too bad yet, but just been very wet. And my last little stream crossing, I stepped in the stream a little bit, which I don't think mattered all that much because my boots were pretty wet to begin with. I could feel the water kind of sloshing in them at the bottoms. So I stopped at this shelter for a little bit just to mainly to try to dry out my feet a little bit and dry out my socks a little bit, because I don't want my feet to get super pruny and then have the good calluses that I have down there tear off, and then not have as strong skin for the next little bit, at least until those calluses build up, because there's definitely going to be some blisters, I think, if that happens, for those calluses to build up. So about 11 miles left for the day, just under 11 miles, which doesn't seem too bad given it's only 9 o'clock, I think, in the morning. But a lot of elevation for sure. Have to climb Whitecap Mountain, which I think is over 2,000 feet of gain just there, and then there's some other little peaks that are maybe 500 each that I have to go over before I get to the shelter I'm staying at tonight. But as of right now, the rain does seem to be letting up a little bit. It's been kind of drizzling for the past half hour or so. At times it's kind of hard to tell if it's actually raining still or if it's just dripping from the trees, so that's a good sign. Hopefully it doesn't rain all that much more today, but if it does, I'll just have to deal with it. On my way up Whitecap Mountain, and got a little view here, and we can see the I think the top of the mountain is probably up there, right behind that tree. So I think it's a little bit more than 500 feet more of elevation gain and probably about a mile more of hiking. So it's steep and probably going to take a while, but I'm going to get to it. All right, here's a sign: Whitecap Mountain, elevation 3,644. And we kind of came around the side a little bit, so different view than we've seen before, I think, but looks pretty nice. And I think over there is the trail down the other side. So got down off of Whitecap Mountain, and it's about 1:30 right now, so definitely a slower pace today, as I'm not even at 15 miles, but lots of climbing for sure today. Over 4,000 feet so far, and I got some more to go. A little bit less than 4 miles, or probably a little bit more than 4 miles actually, to the shelter I'm staying at. And 2 more little up and down peaks, I think. And I think I'm working on the first one of those right now, actually. So hoping to get there by 3:30, maybe 4 if I can, and hopefully get some time to dry my stuff out. I mostly want to get my socks and boots dry. I don't think my boots are going to dry completely overnight, but I think my socks can dry a fair bit. Both my pairs of socks are kind of wet right now, actually, because since I didn't put my pack cover on soon enough yesterday, they got wet. So I think when I get into Monson, I'm gonna try to buy another little bag that's somewhat waterproof to put my clothes in, so that even if my pack does get wet inside, then I'll still have some dry clothes. And I might get a different pack cover as well, because this one's kind of big and pretty old as well, so I don't think it's doing the best job even when I do have it on. So obviously I'm going to get wet throughout this trip and I'm going to be cold, but if I can be less wet less of the time and have drier clothes more of the time, that is a good thing for sure. Day number 5 of hiking the Appalachian Trail in 100 days. I didn't make like a recap video segment last night, so I'll probably make days 4 and 5 into one video. But I got into the campsite last night about 3:30 in the afternoon, so not too late. And I decided to stay in the actual lean-to. There was one other guy there when I got there, which I was sort of expecting him to be there because I heard some of the other people talk about him and knew he was a little bit ahead, but wasn't sure if he was going to stay at that place or push on that night. But he was there. He was about my age, so we talked a bunch. And I wanted to be at the lean-to because I wanted to hang a bunch of my stuff up and let it dry some. And the tent site was like an eighth of a mile down the trail still. So that's why I decided to stay at the lean-to. And kind of around then I decided I wanted to push and try to get pretty far today. So my plan is today to go 25.7 miles, which will be my biggest mileage day, and I think it's close to 5,000 feet of elevation gain, so almost as much as I did for Katahdin. So definitely will be a big challenge, and I'll be on the trail longer than 12 hours for sure. Another thing that happened last night is there was another guy, a SOBO hiker, that came in to the campsite at like 8:45, I think, in the evening, and me and the other guy were basically asleep already. And he didn't make all that much noise, but it startled us because he kind of like threw his pack down and made a big noise. So in hindsight, I think I would have rather set up my tent, but that also made packing up this morning faster because I didn't have to tear down my tent this morning. So right now it's almost 7 o'clock in the morning and I've gone about 5.5 miles. Just had my first real ford of a river, so it was probably about 50 yards across and not very deep, never up to knee deep, but had to take my boots off, put the Crocs on, go across there and put my boots back on. So that slowed me down a little bit, but that's all right. I've been moving pretty quick this morning because the first few miles were just like gradual downhill and then some flat, and then I think now I'm working some gradual uphill into Chairback Mountain, which will be the first mountain of the day. So trying to keep the pace up in the beginning because I know regardless I'm going to be slower going up and down the mountains, and going down is usually just as slow, if not usually just as slow. For me, it's usually about the same speed, I think, maybe a little bit faster, but a lot of the times, at least here, there's no like switchbacks, so it's pretty steep going down, and so you got to be careful and go slow so you don't fall. So that's the plan for today. If I can get, to the campsite by between 5 and 6 o'clock, I'll be really happy. If think there's a good chance it's more like 7. But also there's a chance I don't have to go that far if it's really not going good, but so far it's going well. And I have a better strategy for food and water, I think, so that I don't have to stop as long for that today. So, gonna keep moving and see how we get on. All right, up here on Chairback Mountain. Still a little bit ways to go to the top, but I believe, fingers crossed, all the big climbing is done. There was a few 100-foot section there. Maybe only like 100 or 2 feet. Oh, look at that. A small section that gave me slight Katahdin flashbacks. Just like a rock scramble, basically. This is Chairback 3rd Mountain, I think, and pretty nice view. It's not as high as some of the other mountains I've been on in the last day or two, but it's probably one of the nicest views, I'd say. There's some sections here and there with these like wooden bridges, basically just logs cut in half for you to walk across if it's like particularly swampy or something in that area. I think this section is probably longer than usual because there was a sign like, don't help protect this ecosystem, don't walk outside of the logs, basically. So it's kind of interesting, different. It's flat, there's no roots and rocks, so it's kind of nice to cruise on a little bit. Made it to the top of Barren Mountain, little tower here, and you can see absolutely nothing. I would say we're in a cloud right now. It's only 2,600 feet, but I guess it's just raining, so that's how it goes. Taking a little break here at the, what is it, Long Pond Stream lean-to. This is where I was originally intending to go tonight. It's 21 miles in. But I'm gonna go 4.7 further. It's 3 p.m., so not too late. I'll probably won't get there till like 5:30 or 6, which is fine. But that's not super late either, so that's the plan. Just eating a little food, charging up my watch some, stuff like that. And hopefully I'll be back on the trail in just a few minutes. In the tent for the night, and today was overall a good day, I guess. Definitely difficult. And it rained a majority of the afternoon, so that was not great. My stuff got wet and my boots and socks got wet, so definitely need to get a better pack cover when I get into town tomorrow. But I did the full 25.7 like I planned, or like I amended my plan to be, so I think I have just over 10 miles tomorrow morning to get into Monson. At least that will get me to the state highway, and then I can get a ride from there to town. So I'm hoping to be there at the highway by 10 or 11 o'clock probably, and then be in town a few hours. And then I have, I think, around 9 more miles that I'll have to do in the afternoon, probably starting around like 2 or 3 o'clock. So got to pick up some food and buy a few gear items that I need. Mainly just a second lighter because I have no idea when my lighter will run out. And then also that pack cover and probably some additional food as well, yeah. So that will hopefully go smoothly, but we'll see. I don't have any experience doing these like town stops yet, so it might not go very well, but I'm sure I'll be fine at the end of the day and it won't be a huge deal. There's some other guys at the shelter here, so Just pitched the tent. There weren't many good tent spots, but I found a decent one. It would be a lot better if there wasn't this tree that had fallen over and like blocked half the spot, but I managed to squeeze my tent in. So getting ready for bed soon, and looking forward to getting into town tomorrow, and definitely stocking up on food, both in the backpack and my stomach. I'm probably gonna eat some food there while I'm in town as well.